really good, everybody? You here with your man G. We back for another episode of Sound Spotlight. Today, I have a very, very special guest. We're in his domicile. My very own dad, Dr. Changa.
Yeah.
Miller. Dr. Miller, how you doing today, man?
Man, I'm wonderful. Blessed, great, on fire.
Amazing.
Ready to go.
Amazing.
All the time.
Amazing. So we're building something great. You like the new hot young phenom on the Atlanta Money Moves Only scene. So I'm excited to bring the people some value today.
That's it. That's what we're here for.
So tell the people who you are. Tell me your backstory. You know, you've been through some things in your life that the purpose of the series is to bring value to people. So you know what I mean. Take it away. Tell me who you are.
My name is Dr. Changa Miller. They call me Dr. Changa on IG. And my backstory is real interesting. That's what we call in our business our why. But my why, and as everybody else's, it changes over time as you mature, as you experience different things, it changes. But just kind of start out what my original why is. Backstory, my story began in Brooklyn, New York. Was born in Brooklyn, New York. The son of two medical professionals, one respiratory therapist, one registered nurse. So, I came from a very educated background. Education was always pushed in the household. Going to college was like not even an option. It was not that it was forced, but it was just expected. Expectations was everything. And so early, I had to learn how I learned fast, just so that I could continue the expectation and this thing called education, I would be able to be successful in it. So we kind of fast forward, about 10 years in my high development stage, mid 80s in New York. Parents went through a real rough time. They both, succumbed to the crack era in New York was devastating to most families.
It's known epidemic.
Yes, it definitely was. If anybody looks up any of the images or stories, doctors, lawyers, everyone was being succumbed by this new thing called crack cocaine. And no matter how educated you are, addiction is an addiction. And I had to learn early that that was my parents' situation that they were dealing with, but it was affecting me. I was being affected by the choices that they were making. So I had to learn how to forgive early, right? So if we kind of fast forward, I knew even in those dark times when I didn't know when I was going to eat again, or when I was going to see my mom again, or, because they were out or whatever, going to school with dirty clothes. Like, I knew then that education might have not only been the way, but it was the one consistent thing that I knew that I could control as a young person. And then you fast forward, we wound up getting out of New York and migrating south to South Carolina and eventually Atlanta. And I had to learn once again how to adapt to a different environment to the South. And being fast-paced from New York, all of that stuff, it just kind of opened my eyes to the different people there are in the world.
Right. Now we fast forward to your profession. You're an educator.
Well, yeah. Well, before I graduated high school, I was able to get 5 scholarships to go to any school I wanted to go to.
I didn't even know that.
Yeah, see, you learn something every day. But it was a blessing that I got out of that environment of New York, because I was highly educated, or I understood how I learned, I stood out in a less competitive demographic. So
how long have you been an educator?
I've been an educator, this will be year 21. But no, actually year 21. In January will be year 21, because I started in the fall. So.
And what's that experience been like? 20-something years?
20-something years. Like you said, this series is about giving people value. I've been fortunate to give generations of people value every day. Whether it's about music education, business education, just life in general, A lot of those kids who were in similar situations that I was in when I was going through my dark time, they open up to me because now I can empathize with them. So that was my biggest thing, is being an educator. I felt like if I was going to do it, because that wasn't my first choice, but if I was going to do it, I need to have impact. I need to have a purpose for doing it, not just for getting a check, because obviously we know educators don't get paid like that. But, and that's here now, fast forward, why I decided to go get the terminal degree. Because like I said, anything that I've ever done in my life, just being a black male from an inner city, I already had a 30 chips against me. So I had to be that much better than any of my counterparts that I was competing against. So I said, listen, if I'm gonna be an educator, I need to be the best educator, the highest qualified educator. And it was kind of a thing that in my immediate family, no one has ever gotten a doctorate. And then, I came from 2 medical professionals, and neither they had masters, but nobody went to get the terminal degree. So once I got it, I understood the levity of it, what the sacrifice it took, going to school, going to 2 jobs, taking care of family, taking care of kids, and doing graduate work full time, going to sleep at 4:30, waking up at 5:30 to go to the first job, and then turn around, going to the next job, and repeating for years.
Really hustling, really applying.
Really hustling, yes. Consistency, and that's my MO as far as what my equation for success is. Consistency times faith equals success and achievement. Every time. If you don't stick in to anything, if I didn't in my dark times continue going to school, not cutting, I had friends going to the mall, going to rob people, doing whatever they was doing, and that wasn't what I wanted to do, because I said, A, it's not going to get me anywhere, and B, I knew I can eat.
So what you always used to tell me, sacrifice what feels good now.
Oh, delay of gratification. Delay of gratification. I knew at a young age that if I can not have to go to every party, not have to follow the crowd and be my own person, that I knew in the end it would manifest itself in things that I want to do, and me able to live my life the way that I wanted to, and that none of my children would ever have to be exposed or experience any of that stuff that I had to do in that time period of my life.
Facts. So you mentioned getting your doctorate.
Oh yeah.
And that's no small accomplishment.
No.
So being a black man who went that far with his education, like, what was that like? What's some hurdles? Because I know it's people who are gonna watch this series and say, "Yo, like, if he did it, I could do it too." That's like my slogan. You know what I'm saying? Like, I tell people, if I could do something, you could do it. So suppose you got somebody on the other side of the screen thinking about it, like, "Yo, this black man got his doctorate."
It's definitely worth it, because in society, especially with Black Lives Matter, all the things that's going on in our culture, having a doctorate is not just having a DR in front of your name, but it's also having a voice. When I'm in a room, I command attention, not because I'm cocky, not because any of that stuff, but they understand that I was overly committed to something that was not attainable to most people. Only 2% of the world obtain their doctorate degrees. So I'm already a minority, I'm already a black male, and now I have a doctorate. So now I'm even in more spaces that I'm a minority, but it's a different perspective now.
Right.
So now it's, he can sit at the table. He has something to say. It's a whole different animal when you come in, "Hey, how you doing, Dr. Miller?" It's a whole different tone. So doing it, I definitely feel that anyone can obtain it, but the work that it takes it's definitely the hardest educational feat that I've ever done. Like I said, once life starts happening, family, children, jobs, things like that you're obligated to, it becomes even more difficult. A lot of times while y'all were asleep, I was up trying to finish thesis and and all that stuff. So
any advice for the doctorate students, the master's degree?
Oh, absolutely. Keep going. It's worth it because once again, it's not about just finances or securing a job, but it's also the level of intelligence that you're able to obtain by earning that degree. So it's not don't look at it as just, and the return on your investment is priceless. You can't put a number on it because now I can finish my book and have some credibility. All of that stuff. So yeah.
I love it. And like I was at the company retreat a few weeks ago, and they're a doctor. People were like, doctor. You know what I'm saying? So I definitely see that. And I'm amazed that you were able to even accomplish that when I think back on it, because like you said, 2% of our group, you know what I'm saying? So that's amazing. So let's talk about the reason why you always got the crimson and cream on. This is red, this is white, it's everywhere. Being a member of Kappa Alpha Psi Fraternity Incorporated. What year did you cross?
Spring 97 at Gamma Theta Bethune-Cookman College. Well, not Bethune-Cookman University. So.
What's your line number?
2. I was a deuce. So that was 23 years ago. And it's real interesting. Like that whole journey was interesting in itself because as a sophomore in college, you're still trying to figure out who you are.
Right.
The difference is I kind of knew because of life experiences and being raised in New York and, having to transition to different demographics. I had to know early who I was. So anybody that's out there that's thinking about going Greek, things like that, is a great networking. It's a part of our cultural history for historically Black colleges and universities. Educators across the globe who are part of the Divine Nine. It's a network like none other. So I don't ever, try to talk anyone down. I just say always do your research on the different fraternities and sororities. But 23 years ago, I made a decision based off of after doing my research on other fraternities and stuff. It just Kappa Alpha Psi mantra is the achievement in every field of human endeavor. I'll say that again. Achievement in every field of human endeavor. And that resounded in me. I'm not a legacy or anything like that, but it resounded in me because of my life story. The fact that I felt like I can achieve anything. Like, I'm not saying it once again to be cocky. That's my innate feeling. Since I was probably 5 years old, I felt like at any given time, if I wanted to be a doctor, a medical doctor, I could. If I wanted to be a lawyer, I could. Not because necessarily because somebody told me I could, but the culture in which my family was at the time and who I learned who I was in society. Every time I was in a class, why was I always one getting the answer right? Why was I don't even have to pay attention. I just had to be in the environment and I can absorb the information.
And what I tell my students is, and I'm sure you tell them something similar, is if you have something inside of you that's telling you to go harder or pursue greatness, do it. It's there for a reason.
Absolutely.
Right? We're living because we have a purpose. Absolutely. So that's beautiful that you shared that. So let's talk about big picture because you're working on something huge. Miller Enterprises, Miller Investment Group. What's the vision for people who you reach out to join your organization? Right? What's the vision for this enterprise and this investment group?
The first thing is helping others, it's a paradigm shift. And I tell you, our oldest son, because we have that many years above you, we're the next generation above you, that our generation of people has not been privy to this type of information for this business. Financial literacy, understanding the flow of the world's money. And that's a big thing. And that's really why I'm so on fire with Miller Investment Group, with MMO, with IM Academy. You know what I mean? Like, because what it's going to do, not what Mike can do, what it's going to do and what it's doing for the culture, I mean, it's unbelievable.
Definitely a paradigm shift.
Yeah. And it's a total mental shift. But yeah, with the investment group, I want to help people get financially literate, and also be able to help generations behind them, help their community, and let it just like everything else that catches in pop culture. You know, it's ironic. We'll post, or people will like a post on social media about nonsense, about things that are irrelevant to help each other or help society. And as soon as you put something on social media about a paradigm shift, something positive that you're doing, you get so much negativity. And it's fine.
We got to change that.
I'm so used to, though. The sweet thing about us in this business and where I came from and what I've been able to achieve up to this time in my life is so sweet, because guess what? It never mattered to me, ever. Because if any of what people thought mattered, then I wouldn't have been here. You wouldn't have been here. So now, with that same energy, now I put it 1,000% into the business, because now I know there's no limit. When we first got into the business, you brought us in, and I saw the compensation plan. I'm like, that's cool. You know, it's P150, P600, P1000, P2000, P5000, Chairman 10, Chairman 25, 50, 100, and so on. And it's ironic, as I shared with you earlier, is from the time that we got in, it was resounding in my spirit. Chairman 25. That's the first major rank. Chairman 25. I'm like, all right, God, you know, whatever that means. And after looking at David and Amitie's videos, seeing his spirit man, connecting with that, hearing Bryce Thompson's story, Cash the Great story, I knew without a shadow of a doubt. Like there's a lot of things that I've done in my life that I knew once I started that I was going to complete to fruition. The doctorate being one, being a Kappa being one, being a great dad. I pray that I'm a great dad. I can't put that stamp on myself, but as I look at our oldest son across from me and how I'm able to be proud every time I say his name, every time I talk about what he has done with his life, because he knows it wasn't for me and for his mom, but it was for him. And then the fact that he got that fervor to also help others, man, we're a winning family, and it's a great thing. So Miller Investment Group, Miller Enterprises is definitely going to do that. So just like David is a teacher in the business, he's a Chairman 750. I mean, that's who I resound with. That's who I relate to, and I can just see myself, because he's now affecting the lives of so many
people. The business is special. You know, I mean, it's so much bigger than just trading and investing.
Absolutely.
So let's talk about. We're gonna hit on a few more things before we wrap up.
Okay.
You said you got something cooking up, something adding some value to the people.
Yeah.
Tell them about what's coming next.
Yeah. The Daily Dose with the Doctor is coming to a social media outlet near you.
Okay.
You know what I mean? So
what can they expect?
I mean, they can expect just daily sauce, daily gems, just daily motivation. With my walk in life, I really felt like, because I endured so much and I was able to, thank God, achieve so much, that I have a story to tell and how it manifests itself in the things that I get to do. And now with this business, if I can continue helping people, even if they're above me in rank, because that doesn't matter to me. Just like I can learn from them, they can learn from me. So a Daily Dose with the Doctor is just going to be daily motivation, daily consistency, grinding information, so that we cannot take our foot off the gas.
Love it.
You know what I'm saying? Every day is a consistency thing. And as an educator, I see this quite often with the last two generations, is that the millennials, Generation Z, that consistency is an issue, because our society is microwave. It's a instantaneous delay of gratification went out the door 15 years ago.
Right.
So everything is now. So that's fine, but you just have to adjust every day. You have to adjust and look long term. You can't look just to be a successful for this week. You can have short-term goals,
Right.
but it can't just end
add
there.
up to something.
It has to add up to a culminating activity. And then it will change as you develop and as you mature and as you learn. But you got to have a place to where you're going to lead.
I love it. So that's perfect. That's going to lead us right to our next question. So the series is about value, and I'm sure they got so much value from this episode. But let's give them something cut and dry. What's some value you can add to the young people? What's some advice you give to a young person watching this right now?
Life is hard. Life is hard. I can save you 20 years of your life. Now, I'm going to give you two sides to the equation. Faith times consistency equals success and achievement, right? So two sides of the story. If you're in school right now and you're thinking about how can you change the life of your family, being consistent, join the business, join like-minded people, continue your journey. Continue your journey that you started. But just because you are continuing one journey doesn't mean that another avenue can't start. Just because you're going down the road doesn't mean that you can't veer off as long as you're still going in the same direction. All right? And it will continue to manifest itself in greatness in everything that you do. Now, if you decide, well, listen, I didn't have a great start. I'm not in school. You have to now commit to something. So doing different things, we know the definition of insanity, doing the same thing, expecting different results. You can't play video games every day. You can't smoke weed or whatever your vices are. You cannot think that the better life that you see and you live or you want to live is just going to manifest itself without daily affirmations. So you got to believe in something before you believe in yourself. Also believing in yourself and have a vision for your life. Because if you don't do those three things, it'll never happen. You're talking to someone who came from a 2-bedroom apartment at one time with 6 people in it. Remember, not knowing when you was going to eat again. Going to school with dirty clothes. To now owning, this is my 3rd primary home.
And the biggest one.
7,200 square feet. Got saltwater pool, tennis court. All that. Been blessed.
Started in the projects, now we here.
But if I did not stay consistent, if I didn't stay prayed up, if I didn't believe in myself, if I didn't have a vision, none of it would have been possible. So whether you join the business or not, in order to be successful in life, if you don't make a commitment to yourself and to your family that you're going to drive in one direction and follow through with what you started, nothing was ever going to manifest itself in your life. So always do that and surround yourself with like-minded people.
Absolutely.
Get a mentor.
Takes a village.
I
tell people mentorship, for me, I'd be a millionaire right now had I realized that was the only piece to the puzzle I was missing.
That's right.
Amazing.
And like I said, just when life hits you, you have to now stay grounded in those things. It can change. You can have losses, but how you respond to those losses is what matters. You know what I mean? Like,
amazing.
So 20 years in, what I understood is that the education now led me to this point where now I can take our business and now skyrocket and
use
now
everything
touch
you
the
learned.
Everything I learned. So, I always hear kind of people, education wasn't for me. I get it. It might not have been for you. But it definitely changes your perspective on life when you do get a certain level of education. So
Amazing. Ladies and gentlemen, so we're going to wrap up right here. Dr. Changa, let them know where to find you online, your social media handles.
On Facebook, you can find me just Dr. Changa Miller. On IG, Dr. Changa. Twitter, same thing, not doctor. You can do actually on Twitter is not doctor, and on LinkedIn is Dr. Changa Miller as well. Changa, Changa. Look for me at the top because the bottom is way too damn crowded.
Ladies and gentlemen, another sound spotlight. This man did amazing. Make sure you guys follow him and look out for Daily Dose with the Doctor.
Yes, sir.
All right, we out. Appreciate your time, boss man. Catch y'all on the next one.